are my views about what is happening in the world today. The universal lockdown around the world, particularly as it affects Salatul Jum'ah. Salatul Jum'ah is made obligatory in the Quran. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع. O you who have faith, when the call to prayer is made on the day of Jum'ah, be quick, hasten to the remembrance of Allah in the Jama'ah, and stop your worldly affairs, stop your business. And so this is a command from Allah, command. But around the world today, even in the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, the governments now prohibit us from performing the Salatul Jum'ah. People are being beaten up when they go to the masjid. Yeah. And I'm getting emails from so many Sheikh, how do you respond to this situation? Well, first of all, I don't think that conventional Islamic scholarship that came out of the Darul Uloom is able to respond to what's happening in the world today. No. Darul Uloom scholarship cannot even understand, far less respond to what's happening in the world today. You need that scholarship which can penetrate the reality of the world today, and which can use the Quran and the ahadith which are in harmony with the Quran to be able to understand and penetrate what's happening in the world today. And my comment is that it is wrong on the part of governments to ban us, to prohibit us from performing Salatul Jum'ah. No. They have no right to do that. And if we have the power to resist a government, we must use that power to resist them. When we do not have the power to resist a government, then Allah says in Surah Al-Taghabun, Ittaqullaha mastata'atum. Fear Allah to the extent that you have capacity to do so. And when you cannot resist them and it is oppression, then you make hijrah, which is what Nabi Muhammad ﷺ did. Yes, I agree. You don't have to teach me that if there are conditions of grave insecurity, yes, of course, we have to suspend Salatul Jum'ah when conditions of grave insecurity exist. But who decides? Is it a secular government which has even less than a passing acquaintance with the Quran, which got its scholarship from Oxford University? Is that a competent authority to determine whether or not such conditions exist as warrant the suspension of Salatul Jum'ah? What nonsense. No. If you had respect for the truth which has come from Allah, if you had respect for Allah, then you will allow those who have the competence, who have the knowledge of what has come from Allah, let them be the ones to decide. And when they decide, yes, conditions of grave insecurity now exist, then they are not fools, they're not buffoons, they have knowledge, and they can themselves now advise that Salatul Jum'ah should be suspended. Yes, that is the way. But not government authority. If government could suspend Salatul Jum'ah today, what will they do tomorrow? And what will they do the day after? When the grand mastermind wants to lock down the whole world in order to advance the agenda of Israel. And every government has to comply. And so are we going to be sheep who is tamely, tamely submit to everything that government decides, including that which pertains to our, Allah's rights and our duties to Allah? I say no. You don't have to teach me. I don't need your teachings. I can understand that when conditions of grave insecurity exist, yes, the Salatul Jummah should be suspended. You don't have to teach that to me. That's not the subject. The subject is who decides. Who decides that conditions of grave insecurity exist, and we must therefore suspend the Salatul Jummah? Is it those who are the government and who have no interest in the religion and in the truth, and who can make any law that they want? Allah can make it halal, they make it haram. Allah has made it halal for a girl 17 years of age to get married. Allah has made it halal, and these godless people make it haram. If you make haram what Allah made halal, that is shirk. Don't come to me with your nonsense. I don't need your wisdom. Your wisdom is greater than Allah's wisdom. What nonsense is this? If you cannot understand, listen to me. If Allah made something halal and you make it haram, that is shirk. You commit that shirk and now you have the authority to tell me I can't go to Salatul Jummah? No, that is not right. We are the ones who should decide. You can consult with us. You can offer us guidance. You can offer us information. But we are the ones who decide. Don't take that freedom away from us. And that's what they've done. So what do? When around the world today that freedom is being taken away from us, and we're being locked down like prisoners so that the mastermind can now incrementally pursue his agenda that Pax Judaica must replace Pax America. Everybody knows that now. I've been teaching it for long enough. While the Darul Uloom was eating their biryani and going home and sleep, I've been teaching this for so long. While the Darul Uloom and those who have been closing the doors of the masjid to me, while they were eating their biryani and going home and sleep, I have been teaching the subject for so long. So now there are so many, except these deaf, dumb and blind. There are so many who understand now that the world is in transition, and this virus is being used for this transition from Pax Americana to Pax Judaica. And so the universal lockdown has to be understood not just in any medical perspective. The universal lockdown has to be understood in a larger picture, namely to facilitate the incremental steps that are being taken from Pax Americana to achieve Pax Judaica. And so wherever in the world that you have the power and the freedom to resist the government and to continue Salatul Jummah, if you are convinced that conditions do not as yet exist which warrant the suspension of Salatul Jummah, then go ahead and perform your Salatul Jummah and defy them. But when you are convinced, when your scholars are convinced, when your leaders are convinced, yes, conditions do exist of great insecurity, then by all means you must suspend the Salatul Jummah and perform your Salat individually. Can you have Salatul Jummah for 10 people? And if number 11 comes, you say, no, you cannot join? Can you have Salatul Jummah for 5 people? And if number 6 comes, you tell him, no, you cannot join? Remember, is it Surah Al-Anfal? Inna sharra ad-dawabi inda Allahi summul bukmu alladhina la ya'qilun. That the worst creatures in Allah's sight, the worst of them all, are the dumb and the deaf who don't think. Remember this in the Quran. So please think. You cannot restrict the number of people in Salatul Jummah. If you have to restrict, the Salat is invalid. You cannot restrict the number of people. If you cannot keep the number, cannot keep the law, that is, Salatul Jummah is for the largest gathering possible, and you have to restrict, then the answer is you've got to suspend Salatul Jummah. If you keep the Salatul Jummah with a large number of people, you're going to be charged a fine of $50,000. You can go to jail for 6 months. So you don't want that. So you're keeping the Salatul Jummah for 10 people or 5 people? Excuse me, I wish I didn't have to say this to you. That is nonsense. That is nonsense. Don't make a fool of yourself. You have to suspend the Salatul Jummah, suspend the Salatul Jummah until such time when the Salatul Jummah can be performed in accordance with the law, meaning the large, unrestricted gathering. So here's my first comment. If you have the power to resist the government, then resist the government and ensure that you have your Salatul, and that, of course, is going to lead to civil war. But those are the people who are going to be resisting Dajjal, not the rest who are sheep and goats.